it becomes clear that the approach of UNESCO must adopt certain general principles concerning education, not only that it should equip the growing human being to earn a livelihood, not only that it should fit him to take his place as a member of the community and society into which he is born, but certain further principles, which have been lacking in many previous and existing systems of education. First, that education can be and should be a permanent and continuing process. The mind is capable of growth throughout life, and provision must be made for assisting its growth, in other words for education, among adults of all ages and not only in children and young people. Next, that education has a social as well as an individual function. Thirdly, that scientific research is capable of improving the technique of education to a very large extent, and that accordingly UNESCO must give every encouragement to research in this field, and to the full dissemination of its results. Further, since the world today is in process of becoming one, and since a major aim of UNESCO must be to help in the speedy and satisfactory realization of this process, that UNESCO must pay special attention to international education, to education as a function of a world society, in addition to its functions in relation to national societies, to regional or religious or intellectual groups, or to local communities. UNESCO's reach, science and culture. UNESCO by definition and title, must be concerned with education, with science, and with culture. And under its constitution it is expressly charged to concern itself also with the spread of information through all media of mass communication, in other words, the press, the cinema, the radio and television. We must now take these major subjects and see how they should be approached and treated by UNESCO. But before doing so, one or two general points should be underlined. In the first place, it is obvious that science is not to be taken in the narrow sense in which it is sometimes employed in the English-speaking countries, as denoting the mathematical and the natural sciences only, but as broadly as possible, to cover all the primarily intellectual activities of man, the whole range of knowledge and learning. This, then, includes the natural sciences, the social sciences, and the humanities, in the logical German terminology, Naturwissenschaft, Sozialwissenschaft, and Geisteswissenschaft. It thus runs from mathematics to theology, from physics to philosophy, and includes such subjects as history and sociology, archaeology and the study of classical literatures, as well as chemistry or bacteriology, geology or social psychology. And, as we shall see in a moment, UNESCO must consider all the applications of knowledge as well as its pure pursuit. The word culture too is used broadly in our title. First of all, it embraces creative art, including literature and architecture as well as music and the dance, painting and the other visual arts. And, once more, the applications of art, in the form of decoration, industrial design, certain aspects of town planning and landscaping, and so forth. Then it can be used in the sense of cultivation of the mind, directed towards the development of its interests and faculties, acquaintance with the artistic and intellectual achievements both of our own and of past ages, some knowledge of history, some familiarity with ideas and the handling of ideas, a certain capacity for good judgment, critical sense, and independent thinking. In this sphere, we can speak of a high or a low level of culture in a community. And finally, it can be employed in the broadest sense of all, the anthropological or sociological one, as denoting the entire material and mental apparatus characteristic of a particular society. It is clear that UNESCO must concern itself with the arts, as indispensable agencies both of individual and social expression, and for the full development and enrichment of personality. It must also concern itself with the level of culture in the second sense, since cultural backwardness, like scientific or educational backwardness, are a drag on the rest of the world and an obstacle to the progress that we desire. UNESCO's reach, the mass media. There are thus two tasks for the mass media division of UNESCO, the one general, the other special. The special one is to enlist the press and the radio and the cinema to the fullest extent in the service of formal and adult education, of science and learning, of art and culture. The general one is to see that these agencies are used both to contribute to mutual comprehension between different nations and cultures, and also to promote the growth of a common outlook shared by all nations and cultures.